In 2007, VH1 attempted a fascinating experiment. Could lightning strike twice for boy band stars whose original groups had disbanded or gone on hiatus? The result was Mission Manband, a reality series that premiered on August 8, 2007. This show was a fever dream of late 90s nostalgia, awkward reality TV tropes, and genuine musical talent trying to find its footing again. The premise was simple but chaotic. 4 former heartthrobs moved into a house in Orlando, Florida, the spiritual home of the 90s boy band explosion. They had just a few weeks to gel as a band, record tracks, and prepare for a live performance. The show was produced by dipping into the nostalgia of the late 90s, early 2000s pop era, but it often highlighted the awkward reality of adult men trying to recreate the magic of their youth.
Welcome to punk rock.
It's like, is it acceptable to play this genre at these places at this age, you know?
Well, if you ask anybody in punk, they would say, I've earned the right.
The members: Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC, Rich Cronin from LFO. We have Brian Abrams from Color Me Bad, and Jeff Timmons, who we've interacted with on Instagram from 98 Degrees. Here's the guy with the Michael McDonald style voice. 98 Degrees.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to describe who he is, because otherwise you're not going to remember who Crossy Boy is. The group faced significant hurdles, from clashing egos and rustiness to the skepticism of the music industry. In the first episode, we see a quote-unquote supergroup pitch. The guys meet with music manager Katie McNeil, and the tension is immediate. They are all used to being the guy in their respective groups. We begin to get a glimpse, really, an insight into Rich Cronin's health condition for the first time, and it kind of adds a human element. It gives you a little bit of like, oh, okay, this guy's a human being, to balance the ugliness of the Schadenfreude that we're all eating up like delicious matzo ball soup.
Okay.
In a poignant moment that balances the show's silliness, Rich reveals that he is a leukemia survivor. It adds a layer of real stakes to his desire for a comeback.
I was like, that's kind of just double depressing, but all right.
They brainstorm band names, and Sureshot is chosen. Ironically, they were not a sure shot in any conceivable regard. The brainstorming session we see in this episode is peak cringe comedy, as they toss around names that sound like bad cologne brands. The vocal rust and lack of vocal chemistry off the bat is obvious. While Jeff and Brian still have the pipes, Jeff bring this guy, and then Brian is like, I'm calling me bad.
Last year, he comes and blindsides me, shoves me to the ground. I get up, I'm looking around, and I look back, and I see Brian walking off, saying, I'm calling me bad.
You know what I mean? By the way, Color Me Bad are a Gen X boy band, if we're going to be technicality about it.
Yeah.
It's a hilarious reality check that Supergroup does not mean instant chemistry, or what they are choosing to do as grown men is a good idea.
Oh, wow.
Already by the second episode, the honeymoon phase is over. They bring in heavy hitters like producer Brian Michael Cox to help them record a track. Although Cox is a truly talented producer, what comes out is nothing short of a confused mess. These guys are all in their 30s now, and their knees aren't what they used to be. So watching them try to learn synchronized dance moves, something they haven't done in years, is like watching dads at a wedding reception. It becomes evident that Chris Kirkpatrick, used to the strict discipline of NSYNC, the dad of the group, begins to clash with the more laid-back and sometimes erratic vibe of Brian Abrams. Brian Abrams struggles with alcohol, becomes the central conflict.
Oh, fuck.
The band realizes their lead singer might not be reliable. By the way, how the hell are we relying on that guy to be the lead vocalist?
You got to pick the hottest guy to be the lead singer. Jeff
Clearly,
Timmons.
Jeff Timmons.
Jeff Timmons. Jeff Timmons is still hot.
And he sings real nice.
You know what it is? They made that decision because they wanted it to fail.
The group is faced with the fact that they have to sit Brian down. This talk leads to an attempt at a sober rehearsal. They try to rehearse with a sober Brian, and the difference is night and day. The vocals finally click, giving glimpses of what Sureshot could be. The band books their first major public performance, a halftime show for an Arena Football League game, specifically the Philadelphia Soul, which was partly owned by Bon Jovi. They weren't performing for screaming teenage girls anymore. They were performing for sports fans who just wanted to get a beer. Rich Cronin made several jokes about how terrified he was of getting booed by football fans. The stage was large and they had to run around to engage the crowd, and by the second chorus you could visibly see Brian Abrams gasping for air while trying to hit high notes. The editors were ruthless, zooming in on his sweat. As is tradition with halftime shows, the acoustics were terrible, and Chris Kirkpatrick of NSYNC was visibly furious on stage because he couldn't hear the monitors, leading to him shouting instructions at the others mid-song. song. It's funny how he went from 5 to 1. Like he has a little bit of a Napoleon complex because he's clearly number 5 in NSYNC.
Yeah.
In one of the most infamous moments of reality TV history, some reports say that they were booed, others say it was just polite indifference. The car ride home is excruciatingly awkward. They realize that the nostalgia factor might not be enough to carry a new act in 2007. By episode 6, we begin to veer into the makeover and video shoot episode. They need a music video to show the record executives in the finale. A stylist is brought in to update their look. The band, especially Chris and Jeff, rebel against trendy clothes, insisting that they knew what looked good. Jeff Timmons of 98 Degrees insists on a dance break. Rich Cronin, on the other hand, insists he physically could not do it, which is totally fair given the circumstances surrounding his health. The rehearsal footage is comedy gold, however. Chris, having been in the biggest boy band in the world, kept trying to direct the actual director. The power struggle was awkward but funny as Chris tried to micromanage camera angles while also performing. Finally, in episode 7, the final episode of the entire series, they travel to New York City to pitch Sureshot to Universal Music Group executives. Everything rides on this meeting. Here we see the quote-unquote boardroom performance. They had to raise these executives up a cappella in a bright fluorescent lit conference room singing romantic ballads to 3 old men in suits. It's just inherently funny and cringe-inducing. Throughout the finale, Rich Cronin provided the most grounding commentary. While the others were intense and serious, Rich had a if this doesn't work, I'm just gonna go watch TV attitude that made the high stakes feel hilarious.
Period.
They did get a yes from the label, however. The guys celebrated like they just won the Super Bowl. However, the humor comes in hindsight because despite the yes, the album never came out and the band quietly dissolved after the show ended.
Well, they just needed to get a yes because otherwise the whole show feels mean-spirited.
Yeah. Let's now discuss the music video, which is technically not played all the way through in the show as a full uninterrupted music video. But let's zoom in on it a little bit more, as it wasn't just a promotional tool. It was the ultimate test of their ability to work together without killing each other. While the official high-budget MTV release they dreamed of is largely lost in the archives of VH1 reality history, the video production segments from Mission Manband provide us with a hilarious and detailed picture of what went down. The video is centered around their comeback single, often cited as the story of my life. It was a mid-tempo pop R&B track that tried desperately to bridge the gap between NSYNC's pop energy and the mature man-band vibe that they were inventing, or attempting to invent. Even if the style they were going for musically was about 5 years too late in 2007, there were glimmers of harmonies that proved they could still sing. Yeah, it's a good point. Didn't Yeah featuring Little John Ludacris come out in like 2002? 1?
Yeah.
It does feel 5 years out of date.
Everything about it's off.
The music video aesthetic was classic low-budget reality TV video. And because they didn't have a massive label budget anymore, they had to rely on such situation.
Buffoonery.
The location was a generic studio warehouse space with high contrast lighting to make them look edgy and hide the lack of set design. The styling of the video was a major point of contention, though. They moved away from the matching tracksuits of the 90s into coordinated chaos. Lots of dress shirts left unbuttoned, blazers with jeans, and sunglasses worn indoors to hide the tired eyes of 30-something dads. This is where the real content happened. The video shoot was less about art and more about managing 4 distinct egos. Jeff Timmons, the muscle and choreographer, wanted intense, shirtless, sweaty choreography. He treated the video like a gym workout, often confusing the others with moves that were too athletic. Chris Kirkpatrick, the control freak, tried to direct the video while being in the video. He constantly stressed over the vision and whether they looked like a joke. Rich Cronin, the comic relief. The heart of the humor. Rich openly mocked the choreography and the seriousness of the shoot. He knew he wasn't the best dancer and leaned into the awkwardness, often making faces at the camera. Honestly, he's my favorite part of the song because he's fun.
Yeah.
Brian Abrams, Color Me Bad, the vocal anchor, mostly just wanted to stand there and sing beautifully. He struggled physically with Jeff's demanding dance moves, leading to plenty of huffing and puffing on set. The choreography drama. The most memorable part of the video creation was the dancing. You had Jeff, who was still in peak physical shape, trying to force NSYNC level moves on Rich and Brian, who are decidedly not in that headspace anymore. The final video cuts often relied on camera tricks, quick edits to hide missteps, close-ups on faces during complex moves, and lots of freestyle walking, where they just walk towards the camera, pointing aggressively. I feel like Chris was responsible for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Which is what makes him the least likable out of the 4 of them.
He just gives me the creeps, man.
Episode 7 presents the music video in a very specific, fragmented way. You have the reaction cut. Most of the video is shown over the shoulders of the record executives or the band members while they were watching it in the conference room. The editors cut back and forth between the screen and the nervous faces of the band to build tension. They intersplice clips of the finished music video with flashback footage of the struggle to make it, mostly from episode 6. So you see a polished shot of them singing, then a quick cut to Jeff sweating in a rehearsal or Chris arguing about the lighting. Often in these VH1 shows, the cleanest look at the final product happened during the end credits of the final episode. They would play longer, uninterrupted chunks of the video while the credits rolled over it. Because the show was never released on DVD and streaming services, a high-quality full version of the Story of My Life video is actually considered lost media by many fans. The only way most people have ever seen it is through those grainy, interrupted clips in episode 7. All right, this is what happened to each member of the band after the show. Chris remained active in the entertainment industry, doing voiceover work, most famously as Chip Skylark in The Fairly Odd Parents. He continued to embrace reality TV, appearing on Gone Country and Celebrity Big Brother. He still performs occasionally at 90s nostalgia concerts and Pop 2000 tours. Jeff found significant success post-show. He reunited with 90 Degrees for major tours, including the package tour with New Kids on the Block and Boys to Men. He also became a producer and creator of the male review show Men of the Strip, pivoting from pure pop music to adult entertainment production and hosting.
Okay.
So I feel like Jeff landed in a really positive place.
Yeah.
Brian faced public battles with health and substance use in the years following the show. Despite these challenges, he has continued to perform. Color Me Bad has toured intermittently on I Love the 90s tours, though the lineup has changed frequently due to internal disputes. Rich. Tragically and sadly, the goofy and fun lovable Rich Cronin passed away in September 2010 after a long battle with leukemia. He was only 36 years old. Before his passing, he continued to write music and remained a beloved figure in the pop community. His death was a major blow to the nostalgia circuit and his former bandmates. The end.
The end.